Hello and welcome to the Book Monster. Today I'm going to be reviewing, I don't know if you can see it well, but it's called Before I Let You Go by Kelly Rimmer. It took me a minute to decide whether I wanted to review this book because it hits really close to home for me in a lot of places. So let's just jump in. Before I Let You Go is about two sisters. Lexi is the older sister and Annie is the younger sister. When Lexi has it together, she's a doctor. She is engaged to another doctor. And she's living her life, and suddenly she gets a call from her sister, who she hasn't heard from in 2 years, who is a heroin addict. And she tells her that she is pregnant and pretty far along, and she's having some issues with the baby. Please come, please come. I can't go to the doctor because where they live, they have this law where they live in Alabama. They have this law where if you test positive, you can be charged with a felony of child endangerment and chemical child endangerment and go to prison for a long time. And just to clarify, the laws that were written, the chemical laws that were written to protect kids were never intended for that. They were intended to protect kids from basically not living in meth labs. Baby in the playpen while mommy and daddy cook meth on the stove, kind of a thing. Not pregnant addicts, especially pregnant addicts using opiates or other drugs that they cannot withdraw from. Opiates, I don't know if there's any other. I know opiates for sure while you're pregnant because you will miscarry. You will. So anyway, they go to see her, they go to the hospital. Unfortunately, because they're in Alabama, a doctor has to call CPS. Annie, that's the drug addict, the heroin sister, she gets sent to a rehab, and all the time that she's in this rehab, she is writing in a journal about her childhood life, and you find out a lot of traumatic things in her childhood life, and so it goes through her being in rehab and what happens after she leaves rehab, and it's such a moving ending. I cried. I cried a lot in the book. Although, I'm not going to lie, I kept saying to myself every time they kept saying, Alabama has these laws. Alabama has these laws. I get in a car and drive to another state and give birth there. I kept screaming that at the book. Go give birth in another state. Get online, research the state that you can get to, and go now. Although unfortunately, in this situation, she needed to get to a hospital quickly because of her situation. So I guess that's why they couldn't go outside of Alabama. But I just kept, and later on in the story, you meet a lawyer who had other clients who went through this, and I just kept thinking, go give birth in another state, research a state that doesn't have laws this strict. But anyway, it is such a moving book, and it gets addiction so on point. It's so real. Honestly, a lot more real, this is going to sound weird, than some of the so-called autobiographies I've read of addicts using. And I don't think that they mean it that way, and I just think that I don't know, when they're writing it at their place, they're writing it after they were using. I don't know. There's just something about this was pure and raw. This was, a lot of the things they said about an addiction were here, and they were so true, and they were so right. And, that, an addict can't just stop using. But at the same time, an addict can go to rehab, which she does in the book several times. She can get on methadone, which is what I am on. This is, why it hits me so hard, because, I'm a recovering heroin addict myself. And she didn't like being on methadone. Methadone saved my life, and it was, I thank God for it every day. I wouldn't be making this video here. I don't think I'd be here on this earth if it wasn't for methadone. I would be here on this earth in a prison, or I would be dead. That's bottom line. But, and the book, it does touch on realistic subjects about CPS workers, especially in states like Alabama and things like that they look down upon mothers being on methadone. Although, I don't know if she has the facts in the book completely right. I know that in the court of law yourself, a judge cannot order you, a probation officer cannot order you to start dosing down on your methadone as a condition of probation. They just can't. You're protected under the American Medical Leave Act, and, unfortunately, I don't think family court is the same, but I wish it was, and maybe in some states it is, in some states it isn't, but I think in many states it is, the judge. But, this is why I struggled with reviewing the book, because there's so much I can't say about the book without giving away a lot of the book, other than to, I was going to read you the synopsis, but somehow I lost that page. Awesome. But, other than to read you the synopsis, and, but it's just such a moving book, and I think that people need to read it. I think that people who don't understand addiction and think that addicts are weak, sick, disgusting people, and, all they need to do is just stop using. I think they need to read the book, because I think it hits on a lot of the truth in it, why you can't, things like that, that there's changes in the brain. I think that people who love addicts need to read this book. People who are addicts, recovering addicts, need to read. Anybody who's been touched by addiction needs to read this book, or has an opinion on addiction needs to read the book, because It's such a touching, it's such a tragic story. It's a tragic story, it's a happy, it's a happy story. I don't know, it's just a very moving book. One of the few books in a while that, if not, that I have cried reading several of the parts. When I got to the end and read the very end, it was just so moving to me, and I just cried. It was, if you read the book, you'll understand why. I guess let's get in a little bit to Annie and Lexi, though. Lexi, like I said, is a successful doctor. She was engaged to a husband, but when they were kids, they had a mom and a dad. Their dad passed away, and this became Annie's first issue because Annie's dad was a firefighter, and Annie's dad died in a fire he was fighting, on a shift that she said he shouldn't have been on because he switched shifts with somebody else to go to this event that was giving her an award. And Lexi was always the smart one, and she was getting an award, so her dad went for her, and that begins one of the many things that Lexi goes through, or Annie goes through. Then Annie's mom, Annie and Lexi's mom, they moved to a very strict religious sect, and they have a very strict stepfather, very strict, especially on Annie. Lexi kind of fits in more. Annie, she's too young to understand. She wants to go home, back to her house, back to her life. This new sect she's in, they don't, it's ultra Christian. There's no TVs in the home, no radios in the home. It's read the Bible, and, no worldly books, no, it's strict Christian. And, the father is abusive. He is very physically abusive to Annie. I didn't want to give it away, but I do want to give away trigger warning. There is sexual abuse in this book. If that's going to trigger you, maybe you shouldn't read the book. If you can read about, if you've been through sexual abuse and can read about it, and which I've been through a sexual assault. Thankfully, it was not a family member or anything like that, but I still understand to an extent how she felt. Of course not when you read it, what she went through, but so I didn't want to bring that up, but I did decide I probably should give you a trigger warning. And she gets sexually abused, and that kind of just breaks her. The things he says to her and things that breaks her, and that begins her slow descent into losing herself. Before that, she used to have, she had, a great view on life, a view on herself. She thought she was a good person, and he broke her down to nothing, and it led to a lot of her addiction issues. When you read a lot about that and the other things she's gone through in the journals she writes, you find out about the baby, what goes on with the baby, what goes on with all of them, and it's a bittersweet ending, I will say. It is very, very sad, but it is also, there are some parts that are like, yes, awesome. Especially the very, very end, the last paragraph. You're like, yes, awesome, good, thank God. So it's a wonderful book, and I suggest it to, to anyone. I seriously sat down and read it. I read the first 4 chapters, and then I didn't read it for like 2 days, and then I read from chapter 4 all the way to the end in 1 day. To the extent where I went in my room about noon. At about 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, my dad knocked on my door because he was worried about me, because I had not come out of the bedroom or made any noise, or no TV on, no anything, because I was sat just pouring through that book. I'm going through one now. I hope to review within the next day or 2. Going to be honest, I'm kind of it's good, but I'm struggling to get through it because I have a dislike for a lot of the characters, but also this need to know what's going on, what's going to happen. So I hope to review that book and another book very soon. Right now, I'm only reviewing books as I read them. I want to start reviewing books I've read before. I especially want to review We Need to Talk About Kevin. That one I think I can review. I may review it. Probably not later today, I'm going to be honest. I may review it tomorrow. That is one I think I can review without going back and reading it. But a lot of the books that I have read before that I want to review, I don't think I need to go back and read the entire thing, but I feel like I need to go back and read bits and pieces and things to be able to review it well. So, I guess that's gonna be it for the Book Monster. I'm gonna give this one 4. I'm gonna give this one 4 Monster Paws out of 5 Monster Paws. Just because of I don't know why. I don't give 5 Monster Paws very often at all. I think I've given 1 5 Monster Paw. And so I'm going to give it 4 Monster Paws, just because some of the parts made me mad, and some of the parts, for some people would be triggering and things. So, and because the sexual assault that I talk about. And you find out more about what happens with the family. It gets you. You're like, as it's going. You keep screaming like you figure it out. Long before the family does. Well, yeah, because she's right with that. But as you're screaming like, how are you not figuring out that this man is sexually abusing her or sexually abused her from some of the things she says, some of the comments she makes. One of the comments she makes, she gives birth to her baby and then she has to go to rehab, and she says to her sister, never let Robert be around my daughter alone. Never, ever let him be around Daisy alone. And, if somebody said that to me, my immediate thought would be, did he sexually abuse you as a child? because I mean, I know that maybe she was thinking, physically abusive, but just the way she says it and the things she says, you're like, hello, how are you not picking up what she's saying? So, that's another reason I'm going to give it 4 monster paws, but, it's like a 4.5 monster paws, I guess. If I had, I guess these are my monster paws, 4.5. I don't know. I don't have paws. I need to figure out a way eventually to edit these videos and put a paw there, But, so 4.5 monster paws for Before I Let You Go by Kelly Ritter. If you do not think that sexual abuse will trigger you, pick this one up, read it. Most especially, though, if you dealt with addiction, especially heroin addiction in your life, whether it's been you or anybody you've loved, you'll get some perspectives on it from both sides. If you were an addict or are an addict, you get some perspectives about how family feels, and if you're a family member of an addict, you will get some perspective about how addicts feel. Annie, like I said, the things she says and the way she feels and stuff, she's dead true a lot about addiction and things like that, and how she's feeling and what she's feeling and things. And, there's some things I didn't quite agree with, but, I mean, I guess only her not liking methadone, but that's just because I did, but not everybody does, and not everybody succeeds at it, and not everybody was ready. And I think that was probably part of the reason that she didn't like it, because she didn't want to like it, because she wanted to keep using. And, addiction is so tricky. It's one of those things that, I was going to end it here, but it's one of those things that it's hard to explain. You can't just stop. You can't just stop. But, you have to want to stop. But, of course, I mean, you can't. It's just so complicated. But, you can send an addict to rehab 60 times. And unless that person wants to get clean, they're not going to. I'm not saying that if you want to get clean and you go, you're going to, because, it's very, very, but it's the absolute truth that until an addict is ready, they're not going to get clean. But when they are, it is so possible. I'm going to end that because I am making this about addiction and about me and my life and all of that, and that's why I was scared to do this review. So, but still, I hope you got a lot from this. Actually, honestly, most of you watching this are probably only going to be friends and family members anyway. Pretty much friends. I'm hoping eventually the book monster will get a little bit bigger. Come on, people who are watching this, subscribe. I only have 2 subscribers. Come on. Subscribe, please. Alright. Well, again, please like, comment, subscribe, and, share in the comments a book you think I should read and review. I'm asking one of you who watches this to please put in the comments a book you think I should read and review. Let me tell you, I like, I'm not a big, mystery or, fantasy novel person. I'm not, I'm a lot like, Before I Let You Go, general fiction, memoirs, detective-y type stories, true crime, all kinds of stuff. I'm just not a lot into fantasy, but I'm willing, if you think I'd really enjoy it. Comedy books, if you remember my Tiffany Haddish review. I watched her special again last night and laughed again. But, alright, well, I keep saying I'm going to end this, so I'm going to end this, because this is really long. Okay. Well, thank you guys for making it through this insanely long review / talk about addiction. But, have a great day, and, go be a book monster yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye.